Welcome to the Bates Motel AFTERBUZZ After Show, Season 4, Episode 10. Either the best episode of Bates Motel or the worst reboot of Weekend at Bernie's ever. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I'll be home.
That was terrible.
Which one?
Weekend at Bernie's.
No.
Oh, you're the worst person I know.
Welcome to the Bates Motel AFTERBUZZ After Show. We're all in sunglasses. We're all in mourning. We are the attendees of the funeral.
Yeah, we're it.
We would have been there.
We would have been there.
100%.
Had Norma allowed us to be there. Welcome to the After Show. AFTERBUZZ After Show. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined, as always, for the last time this season, by the lovely Joe Sanfelippo.
Nice to be here with you guys.
And I'm also joined by the even lovelier Julia Cearley.
That's me. Hi, guys.
And I'm joined by the equally as lovely as Julia, but way more lovely than Joe Sanfelippo, Du'a Kaissi.
Right there in the middle. How you doing, guys?
Short end of the stick here.
Sorry,
The point
Joe.
is that we're way lovelier than
Yeah,
Flo. That's really all that matters. In the end.
We're all here. Thank you for joining us on iTunes.
I think that's bullshit, personally.
There it is. Thank you for joining us on iTunes and YouTube and all you guys streaming us live in the chat room. Hello to you guys. As soon as I boot you up, I will say hello to you. Very melancholy episode here of the old Bates Motel. So we got some questions answered. First of all, Norma's dead.
Absolutely.
Absolutely
As a
dead. I mean, like
No question about it.
It's
No
like,
doubt.
It's like we get it, Bates Motel. She's dead. We got her in the drawer. We got her in the funeral home.
No, you know what?
We got her in the coffin. We saw the funnel.
Yeah.
We got her dug up. She's flopping around the car.
She's extra dead.
Yeah, she's dead.
Well, let's be real, dude. They have to do that. I mean, they know the medium they work in, where we're all like, well, maybe she's not, maybe.
Yeah.
We certainly did that last week, right? Well, she's in a coma. She's in a no breathing coma. She's in a no breathing, no heartbeat coma. Where that's where she's at now.
Very, very sad. Hello to everyone. Hello to Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes. From Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Hello, Katie. Good to see you. Hi,
girl.
How's Siri? Mary Kay Pearl, Maria, Echo, Bob Bouquet S, G.I. Janin. Hello, Lounge Blogger, of course, Feckless, and Ola, and the rest of you folks that are joining us here. Ron and VLG and Shalom Joe. What up, Shalom Joe?
Shalami.
Everyone's here. We appreciate you all. Jason, hello. Thank you for joining us in the AFTERBUZZ After Show. I'm going to take off my glasses.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys don't have to take off your glasses.
Oh, no, it's so bright in here.
I'm actually going to take off my hat, too.
What else are you going to take
And his
off?
pants.
Right?
My pants are already off. Pants are already off.
That's how you do episodes when somebody's died. I don't know if you
Exactly.
guys know, if a character's killed, then you have to pretty
You
much
have
do
to
the
take
show
your
pantsless.
So, wow, what an episode here! Like we had a vengeful, very grieving, very upset Romero. We had a very,
very
confused Dylan, poor Dylan, very dead Norma, and a very equally confused Norman. Right. So this is like we have this. This is the birth of Psycho, where we saw it in real time. And I will say, although it's a melancholy episode, there's definitely some grief and some sad and some morbid moments for sure. It kind of, in a weird way for me, it kind of had like a happy ending.
Yeah.
A little bit. Also got me in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. I was like, in that moment, it was so dark, and so I mean, if you really extrapolate yourself and take yourself out of the whole idea of the Bates Motel and Psycho and everything else. This guy, he's lost his mother and he's grieving and he's buried and he's brought her back and he wants her to come back and he's looking at her dead eyes. He's gonna put a gun to his mouth and end it all. Like, how sad is that?
Yeah.
And then you hear,
Yeah.
oh, Juno back.
I had to explain to
And
my
then
wife.
Had little jingle bells and
Oh.
jingle bells on his collar.
Juno's ready for Christmas.
He was.
I had to
Yeah.
break out for my wife because we're watching it together. She goes, well, who fed the dog? I'm like, nobody fed the dog. That dog is dead as
That
shit.
dog's been
That
fed.
dog is so dead.
That dog's
Dog
been
was the
fed
first one to go.
sawdust.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That dog's been dead for years.
Sawdust and embalming fluid for years. Yeah.
No, you found it happy?
What was happening?
A little bit.
It was a
Oh.
little bit.
I just spent the whole time going, like literally my hands back like this. I think my wife took a picture of my face. It was just like the whole time. Because like I can't pretend anymore that Norman's going to be like a sympathetic character. I can't keep in my head, well, maybe they're going to not land at Psycho. Maybe they're going to do something. Nope. They're landing exactly where they said. They're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. And Kerry Ehrin had a great interview with Variety where she was saying like they had to she and Carlton had to basically lie to themselves for the last few seasons to convince themselves, no, there's a possibility of redemption. She's like, otherwise we couldn't have written this.
Right.
And they're like, we had to pull the Band-Aid off this season. And she's like, we cried about it. There were tears, like because we had to make the switch to make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, who else cried about it? Because I'll tell you, go back to the beginning of the episode. I think it all really kind of hit me when Norman is sitting across from an empty bowl at that the first eerie scene of the episode where he's eating soup by himself, and everything is so dark and everything is so, scary. And if you ever wondered what would trigger Norman's psychosis, you think the guilt of killing his own mother. Now, do you think he's aware that he killed his
I'm
own
still
mother?
very confused about this. Like
I don't think he knows. I don't think he believes
did
he did it.
But now he woke up and he didn't do it. They kind of gave him some cover with that. The orderly, the nurse, who had the worst bedside manner ever, by the way. Like, hey, your mom's dead, right?
Right?
What do you got?
Just so you know, some people forget sometimes.
A little carbon
in
monoxide.
case you did forget, mom's totally dead. Is there
Anyway.
anybody you want us to call? Is there...
Beat it. You're free to go.
I got some paper. Yeah.
Who's that chick?
You feel like reading through how guilt works?
And yet he totally kept his composure. He kept it together. He didn't freak out then.
Remind me to never go to the White Pine Bay Hospital for anything. Jeez.
All right, so they actually asked, Variety asked Kerry Ehrin, Norman seemingly has no awareness of what he's done. Is it the effects of the carbon monoxide poisoning or his mental illness or a combination of both? And her reply was, the thing that is challenging and interesting about writing 410 is Norman's mental state. You cannot underestimate how completely terrified he would be at his mother being dead. It's so huge a concept and so terrifying to him that he cannot let it in. So he immediately goes into his denial. And carbon monoxide does definitely mess with your head and your memory, which aids him in forgetting it in the moment. So he has forgotten that he did it.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now he just knows that she's dead.
He keeps on. Wow, I can't speak. He keeps on referencing like the plan as well. Like, why didn't you tell me the plan, Mother?
That's what he was whispering in her
Yes.
ear.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me the plan? And now, like, are you punishing me? What are you doing? Like, come back now. I get it. So he has no concept of
All
what
that
he's
to
done.
me was heartbreaking. It was really
awful.
It's awful. I mean, again, Freddie Highmore, like also the super great at acting guy, and we talk about all the time this magic trick that Carlton and Kerry have played on us, allowing us to be sympathetic to both Norman and Norma this whole time.
Yeah.
And even at this point, Norman killed her. He woke up like, Mother, and I'm like, oh, poor Norman. What's he gonna do? Like, I'm a sucker. Like, I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's like Freddie drawing.
I was going to say, I think a lot of it has to do with Freddie.
It
Just
is.
his natural,
Oh, yeah.
like he's the kind of guy where you see him standing over a corpse with an axe in his hand. You're like, all right, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, because he's got that. It couldn't have been you.
I mean,
You must have just pulled it out.
I've said it 1,000 times. He had me since Finding Neverland.
Yeah, he's just got
movie.
that face.
Like,
He had
I'm
me
still
too,
crying.
Finding
I think
Neverland.
about him.
I need my sunglasses.
When he's got those glasses, when he's got the tears in his eyes, he's looking up. I'm like, no.
He is the master of the tear-filled eyeball.
Oh, this
Yes.
kid.
Right?
Kills me with those
Since
eyeballs.
he was a tiny lad.
Yes.
Anyway, good movie, by the way, if you haven't seen Finding Neverland. So I felt very sympathetic to him, and let's kind of like walk through this thing. I mean, well, before I do that, Joe, you had some thoughts, but do you have any particular overall thoughts on the episode, Julia?
Yeah, it was everything I wanted it to be and more. It was so gorgeously grotesque, which I love. I'm pretty morbid when it comes to this sort of stuff. But not just what I was watching, like emotionally it was grotesque. Physically it was grotesque.
Norma ragdolling all around.
Yes, it was so unsettling to watch. But then I also...
Like borderline.
No, I'm sorry. That was just me thinking of Norma ragdolling, and I looked over at you at the same time. So you.
Oh, she was so ragdolly, but she was so beautiful at the same time, which added this
Like a
extra layer
ragdolly
to it.
ballerina.
like a beautiful
Yes,
broken
exactly,
doll.
like
Yes.
a beautiful broken doll.
Yeah.
But then we also...
Even dead, she's acting. She's a way better actor than Bernie was in Weekend at
Oh.
Bernie's.
Yeah.
No question.
Acting her ass off as a dead woman.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead.
just so satisfied with everyone's
This is her ending
reaction.
episode.
Maybe goes to ragdoll.
That's the clip they show. Her coming out of the grave.
That would be.
Cigarettes.
If she went, that would be freaking beautiful. If somehow or other somebody
God.
slipped that in as the video they're playing, and she
That's-
gets up there like, fucking really?
That's like, yeah. That's
4
like,
seasons killing it in this, really?
that's how you know you're good at acting. Anyway, I'm sorry, Julia.
No, that's right. I was also just very satisfied with each character's reaction, and both Romero and Norman having their chance to say goodbye to her on a different slab.
Yeah.
You know, in some way or another. Chick, I'm a sucker for Chick.
Yeah.
Anytime he's on screen, I'm glued.
A little enchilada casserole,
And he
man.
came in at the perfect time. Like, that was a perfect Chick entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some questions about it. I'll wait till we get to the
we'll get
Chick
to Chick.
part.
We'll get to
But
Chick.
yeah, and the whole thing with Dylan, I'm just fascinated by it and haunted by it, and I can't wait to see
Season
what
5.
happens.
Du'a, what did you think? Any overall thoughts?
I thought it was, we teased again and again about how they could possibly pull this off. And I would have never thought about it, but they did it. They pulled it off. They pulled it off brilliantly. And I think that this will be the final 10 episodes are going to go, directly to how he's crazy and the fact that he's crazy and just Norma through his eyes. I just thought it was great. And I'm sad that Romero's arrested, but we'll talk about that later. But I just thought that this was perfect, and it was sad, and I cried and I laughed and I had every emotion.
Do you need your sunglasses?
Yeah, it was very, very disturbing, but very happy. And I really felt like, in a weird way, in a weird, morbid way, I was sort of glad that, Norman had that moment of happiness with Norma, even if only in his mind at the end of that episode. And the way they did it with the Christmas lights in the Bates Motel, and it was all happy. And it was still creepy as F, but still like a happy moment before he starts killing a whole bunch of folks, I'm assuming. And we've talked about all season, like, well, how are they going to do this? How are they going to figure this out? Because, well, Romero's gone.
Yep.
Dylan's gone.
Yep.
Emma's gone. Anyone who knows, Chick's going to come in and check from time to time. But,
Well, he'll probably die.
maybe, but like, so
We need a first victim.
I'm just curious as to how much of season 5 will be, Norma propped up in the window, or will that be at the end of season 5, or will season 5 just be a complete arc, like the complete psycho arc, and it'll end with Norman in the psych ward.
Well, there's some practical things that we have to deal with here that Norman's going to have to deal with.
Right.
Because they did not embalm old Mama. He said
He's
no.
going to have to embalm her.
So he's
himself.
going to have to
Yeah.
embalm her.
But he's
So
got
like
the
him in the
skills.
basement with Norma.
Taxidermy style.
Yeah, but that's some grim-ish, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
He's been practicing for 4 seasons.
And you know what?
He's got a beaver. He's got he's got a hawk or a dove.
And he
He's
had no
got-
problem putting the spirit
Juno.
gum on her eyes and just popping that shit open. That didn't bother him in the
That was
slightest.
so
You know that bothered me.
Yeah. Me too.
That bothered me.
Vera's cold, dead-ass eyes.
That was so.
Every time they cut to her, she's like,
Please turn it off.
That was so upsetting.
so upsetting. Mother, look at me,
Look
mother.
at me. Now
Look
you
at me,
can look at
mother.
me. Oh.
Stop looking. Stop looking.
Oh, she's looking at you. Look
Now,
at me.
My
Oh,
question
God.
is, is that actually Vera, or did they make like a Vera dummy?
Oh, it's Vera.
Was
Seems
it
to me
with
to be
contacts
Vera.
in?
Wouldn't that? I think that'd
Contacts.
be cheaper.
Contacts. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Much cheaper. It's just like in Game of Thrones, they put those giant, like, crazy contacts in Arya when she was blind.
Yeah.
And how do you keep it together
Spoiler
and
alert
not
for that
laugh?
Girl has her
Like during a scene like that, that would be.
Don't you think there's got to be one cut where she's like, bah! just when he gets close.
Yeah. That was Yeah, I would not like that at all.
I would so do that. I'd be like,
Of course he would.
absolutely.
So let's get back. Let's get into the episode. I want to start with Romero, because he, it was a really
So good.
he was very good. Nestor did it all. It was like he was bringing Nestor's bringing the acting chops out in this one.
I ran into him. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and I hadn't seen this yet. Obviously, now I feel like that's shit. That's all we should have been talking about. This was unbelievable.
No.
It was really good.
He is really doing it, and then what's great about it is like we get the full range of emotion, from the grief to the anger. He got to whoop Norman's ass, at least twice, and he's really upset and really angry, and just that heartbreaking scene from last week when he's when he realized she's dead, and he's crying. And then they showed the previews was really was really heart wrenching, but sort of him as a sort of like detective / vigilante / I don't know, broken man trying to get to the bottom of this whole episode was really interesting to watch. Him going through, and I want to talk about when he got interviewed by the
State detective?
Detective Chambers.
Yes, Detective Chambers.
I love her.
Isn't she the voice of Tiana? I believe that she is, right?
The what?
Oh, not the state detective. No, the DEA.
No, but I'm talking about the one who's like
the one that
it's
popped
clear-
up out of nowhere.
The state
Clearly,
Yeah.
clearly a
Blondie.
murder suicide.
Which is exactly what we all realized at the end of last the recap is that they're gonna think that this is a murder suicide, but Romero knows better.
Yeah, and he should look into the sun. And I'm taking my mom's ring.
That's evidence.
Now, what about the move?
No, that's my mom's ring.
Yeah.
The letter's evidence.
Now,
Of that.
I love that he tells it how it is.
yeah.
Oh, he's like, I am a cop, dumbass.
No, it was creepy enough.
So good.
It was creepy. I wonder if Vera Farmiga had like a minimum amount of screen time she needs to appear on screen, because there's a lot of dead Vera in this one. I mean, like it's creepy
But I think
enough.
that's the point.
I know, but it's creepy enough to have her, at the funeral and have her, burning around, ragdolling around. But the fact that Romero himself is like, I'm going to the corner. Like, I'm going there. I need to see my wife.
Well, he wanted to make sure that she had on that ring.
Yeah, I wanted to give her last goodbye.
And say goodbye.
Yeah. And so what did you think of that scene? That scene was not, I don't know, it was more weird than touching to me. I don't know where. I got a little weirded out.
I think that it was almost like, that was almost a confirmation of avenging. Like, I'm gonna find out who did this. Like, when you go to see the body and you're like, I love you, and like, I'm gonna get the person that did this. Like, I'm almost gonna avenge your death.
Norman.
That's what I got from it. It's like, this was his final goodbye, and then his just clear cut, like, he's gonna seek. Oh yeah.
Well,
And his words to her were very similar to what her letter was to him. I will always love you, no matter what. And he says, I will always love you whether you're here or not.
Yeah.
That was very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought, what I loved about it was
My heart.
we've got so many rules that we live by now that we are completely removed from some of the things that I think we, as a species, have probably done for millennium. Like, if you think about it, it's very new that someone comes to your house and takes away your dead people. Yeah. It's very new that someone prepares and buries them for you. It's very new that you have no actual contact with that. And I love that his character gets so raw with grief, so just absolutely destroyed, and he's in a position to go, well, fuck conventionality, I don't care. So I'm going to go in. Mm-hmm. And whereas the rest of us would have been told, no, you can't do that, and that would have been it. He's like, no, I don't really care what you have to say about this.
Really
that's how he operates in general. That's how he moves through this world and always has.
But I love that with grief. I love assigning that I don't care about convention to grief, because I think it made for a very just a very, very interesting scene where he was I'm going to do what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. I don't really give a shit what you have to say about it.
Yeah.
And
I love
are
that.
we surprised at all? Are we surprised at all by the level? I mean, we've watched Romero for 4 seasons now, and they finally, this season,
2 weeks of happy,
finally got together and kids had 2 weeks of happiness. Now it's over. I mean, like, has Romero been carrying this torch this long? It just seems like a lot of like, this is my long lost love. He's really broken over this.
Well, he's also this is all the stuff
if
from
Rebecca
his.
bit it, I don't think he'd be this upset.
Well, and I also think it was the circumstances. It's like his final conversation with her was like, he is dangerous. He is going to kill you, and he was right. Mm-hmm. So I think that he has a lot. Like, there's a lot of closure that needs to happen with this particular situation. It also brings up all the issues with his own personal mother. It also brings up, he gave his mother's ring. Mm-hmm. So this isn't just about Norma. This is about Romero's journey, and this is how he behaves. He runs this town. Right. He is the law. Law.
I am the law.
I am the law.
So speaking of, so he had that.
We didn't layer on guilt, because he's got to be, even just being.
Couldn't save her.
Yeah, couldn't save her. Gone for. I mean, if he'd been there 5 minutes earlier,
if he would have paid more attention at CPR class, could have saved her.
Could have saved her. Bad CPR.
So the next time we see him is he goes to pick up, or that was before or after this, he goes to pick up Norman from the hospital. Before after that scene in the wheelchair. That was
that was tense.
That was very, very tense.
I love watching Norman get mad. It's so cute
because he's so smirky. Yeah, at first he's so like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when he got mad with the television, and he's so kind of like klutzy and kind of goes over himself, and he's like, oh, and he's like, he doesn't get mad well, and he kind of loses himself, and it's just so funny. So when he was in that wheelchair, and Romero obviously had the control, and he was wheeling him, and he's like, no,
yeah.
and then he's trying to stand up to Romero, and like with one hand, he's like, boom, against the wall. Oh,
that was
beautiful.
It all goes back, in my
super
opinion,
visceral.
Such violence.
the way he gets mad towards Romero, because Romero is the man that he will never be.
Yes.
And so he doesn't know. It's like he's so frustrated with himself that he just lashes out in this really strange, uncontrollable way that is like makes him look even more childish than before.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah,
Yep.
that was an incredible scene. I thought that was incredible.
Prove you
Yeah.
did it.
Don't you think he wants to get mad like Romero does, which is badass
Right.
mad and throw
Yeah.
someone against a
He
door
can't.
by their neck? He can't do that.
Yep,
he
no.
can't do that.
He gets huffy and puffy.
And he get neck veiny. You just see the
He's got
neck
He
veininess.
does get neck veiny.
Yeah.
And then the next time after that, we see him. He is sort of like hot on the case, and he goes to see the poor old furnace guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, furnace guy was not going to get away with
that.
Oh, you know, I'm real sorry. Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a bummer how that happened. And
Yeah.
Romero, like the way I love the way that was the shot, like the placement of that, like just the whole, having the two stand up and the way Romero's posture was.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's like the guy's about to get an ass whooping. He's just
No.
like leaned over to the guy.
Avatar
the guy
of
behind
death
the
in your shot.
counter. It was I don't know. But yeah, I could not wait for that 1 second. But yeah, so he. Poor
It
guy.
wasn't my fault. It wasn't my
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, that was a great acted, well acted scene. Excellently composed shot.
Romero's on a hell of a caper. That's what I'd call it.
Yeah,
I'd call
he-
this a hell of a caper.
Yeah, call it a hell of a caper.
Hell of
So
a
then
caper.
he makes it all the way to the funeral, which we get to the payoff, and he comes in there. And by the time you see him walk into that funeral home, he looks like something out of the Wild West. He saunters in there.
That's
the
exactly what
jacket.
I thought. It was like
He's got the whole I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen in here.
You know, we're kind of skipping the funeral family.
Well, I'm gonna get. I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
get
go
back.
back.
Go back to them.
Romero.
I'm
Stick with
through
Romero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go through, get through Romero. Then we have to talk about Norman and his, and we'll hit those journeys of Norman. But so I just want to get to Romero and his single-minded, like, I'm gonna prove
Yes.
this guy wrong. And he got to the funeral, and all he could do was beat the crap out of this kid. Like, I mean, do you think he wanted to kill Norman?
Why was he at the funeral? Was he at the funeral to pay his respects? And what? I mean, we'll talk about the fact that there was nobody else at that
Nobody
funeral.
else invited.
That's
No one's invited.
No one was invited.
But Romero knew it was there. So was there something in the paper?
No.
Like, does the funeral home?
If it was in the paper, somebody would have showed up.
So Romero just knows stuff. So he knew. So
And-
was
and
he
Dylan
there to
would've known
pay
about
his?
it.
Was he there to pay his respects?
No, it felt like he was there to get Norman.
That's what it felt like to me.
What do you think you're doing?
Yeah,
Having a
you're going to do
funeral?
this on your own, kid?
What do you get over here?
Yeah, that's what it felt
Yeah,
like to me.
I think so.
So Norman got that sweet ass whooping.
But you know what? That's
And he
one of the
deserved
best
it.
punches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Here,
ring.
I have something for you. I like that he just conveniently had the ring on
Right.
his person.
And I love that he scrambled for it. It wasn't like poop. It was scramble for it. I'm so angry.
You're not welcome here.
Wang.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was also very like.
Oh.
And I think that was a bit cathartic for the audience as well. I mean, there's a part of us that like me
wants
who-
to kill Norman.
Yeah, there's also like that. Like I
I
feel
wanted to
bad
blow
for
his head off.
Norman. I feel bad, but it's another part of me that wants to see him get his ass whooped. Like he's crazy Norman. So it's like, and also we so identify with Romero and his grief that we wanted that outlet for Romero. So that was a very
That's a good
cathartic
point.
scene. Like we kind of got all in all. What that scene delivered us was all kinds of mixed emotions, but we let us release a lot of things.
And I also,
It's like with
Yeah.
Dylan last week, talking to Norma
Yeah.
and finally just laying it all out there and throwing the laundry basket and screaming at her
Yeah.
and just making her sort of trying to make her come
Yeah,
to.
we
Let
as
out
the
your
audience need that
aggressions.
too. Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like from here, it sounds like when Dylan called Norman to reach out to him, it's pretty much he didn't say it in words, but he's like, "Oh, Norma's dead to me," and Norman didn't say anything to Dylan.
Yeah.
No, that was a really interesting thing for me. It was a very, very conscious choice. It felt like to me
Definitely.
when he said like it's probably best that we don't speak anymore either. Like that was his last chance to either sort of descent into this lack of reality or to hang on to something that is real, that family that is real, that could possibly pull you out of this.
Yeah.
And he chose. He chose the life to be
Yeah.
with Norma in his own head.
Well,
Like that was a
because-
decision-making moment
Yes.
in my eyes.
Well, they're also, I thought, what I got from it is that they're two parts of the same people. Always. Norma and Norman are two parts of the same people. So if Dylan had a falling out with Norma and Norman has to choose a side, he will always choose his mother and he will always choose to, excommunicate Dylan to be with his mother. Always.
And Dylan is always on the outside, and no one wants to hear what the reality is from him.
No.
Because their life was always so perfect together, just the two of them. And he always threw a wrench into that. Always the outsider.
Well, so then we see poor Romero after all that. If the guy hasn't had a bad enough week,
I know.
he
It's been
comes
really
out.
shitty.
He comes out, and here comes.
In the nick of time.
arrest.
In the nick of time. He had a gun in his pocket. He was about to kill Norman. Does Norman know how close he came to getting killed?
Twice.
Yeah.
And you get arrested by Tiana. That's the Princess Tiana rolls up and arrests your ass.
From Princess and the
From
Frog.
Princess and the Frog.
That's what he does. Let's look voiceover.
I love that movie.
You know who my wife picked up on? I was like, that's not right. She was like, it's right. So
wow, there it is.
That nice.
Underrated Disney movie, by the way.
one of the best. One of the best soundtracks.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
I really love that movie.
You know, the one thing I was curious about with Romero, how they shot. I'd be curious to find out if we ever get him back on how they shot that scene where he hit Norman in the chapel,
Face.
because he hit him and then he had him in the in the pew there, and he was wailing on him. But then the other dude comes up, funeral parlor kid comes
Yeah,
up,
and he pushes him aside.
but that didn't look particularly scripted. It didn't look like that was all that well planned out. That was like, I'm not done. And it felt very much, so much
Ad-libbed.
more visceral because it was stumbly.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give
good.
ups to.
That's a good
stuff.
All that was good stuff. So Romero's off, and I wonder how long I don't know what a sentence of perjury, what kind of sentence perjury holds with it.
Not much.
So I don't know if
Well,
he's
they
in
have
for
to
30 days.
You gotta
if
prove
he's in for-
perjury.
Very
Yeah.
Al Capone.
Yeah.
Anything. She even said like anything
Yeah.
we'll do. We'll take whatever we can
Tax
get.
evasion, like
Yeah.
Al
And it's-
Capone, yeah.
And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, oh, that's what the storyline was for, in the nick of time to get him arrested.
Yeah, so there's that. So let's go back. So let's talk about Norman, because Norman actually also had a very bad day. I like that flashback.
No good,
in the
very
very
bad
beginning. It was a very telling flashback in the beginning of the thing with Norman. They're playing hide and go seek, and he. And they're playing peekaboo and hide and seek, and she's doing the whole thing like you do with your kids. I can't find you. Where are you? And she's like, "Mommy, did I really go away? Like I don't want to go." Like he thought he actually really disappeared, and the way he worded that was like very telling to how he sort of disappears now, and the whole notion of him saying, "Never leave me, Mommy." The whole thing that was very foreshadowing and heartbreaking and enlightening all at the same time. That flashback.
Foreshadowing, heartbreaking, and enlightening.
Yeah, I thought so. It's really
Wow, that's a
Bang
lot
for
of
your
stuff.
buck right there.
no, but it was a lot.
No, I agree, though.
They got a lot done in that flashback,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're completely right.
So, and then after that, that's all. Nothing else in the flashback. I guess I said it. So after that, then we see him waking up, and of course he's like mother, and then Norman's like he's the journey Norman's taking from like what happened to, I don't know if he ever thought, did I do this, or is mother dead? Like a kind of utter confusion. Like it feels like he's never really had a full blown breakdown of grief until the gun in the mouth moment, right? Like what do you think was happening with him?
I thought
Was
he
it like
had,
he's trying to process it? Like he's never really like.
Well, he never cried. That's something that I wrote down, is that he never cried. Like when he was eating soup alone, he never cried. When he was talking to the detective and picking out her dress, he got teary-eyed, but he never really like cried. It wasn't until he was at the funeral home that he was talking about her that he started breaking down and crying.
He also never spoke of her in the past tense.
Never.
Unless he was talking to Detective, what's her name? Played by Molly Price, whom I love, by the way. She's a great actress, great character actress. That's the only time, and it reminded me of when he was still in the hospital talking to Julian, and he says something along the lines of, I can make people believe that I'm a normal person.
Right.
And I think that was a very conscious decision, because he even said, I love or loved her, something like that.
Right.
He stopped himself and realized that in order to fit into this new world, I have to talk about her in the past tense, but he believes that she's still there, that this is a plan, this is a ruse, that she's coming back to him.
Which makes which makes the whole funeral parlor scene all the more confusing, because in my opinion he didn't really break at all until Chick sort of made him break. Chick was like, do what you gotta do, but she did, homie. So I don't know.
You understand she's dead,
I gotta
right?
go.
You do understand.
Chick out.
Hobble out the door.
Did Chick see her?
Yes.
Okay, I
Chick-
rewound it like
Oh,
3
did
times,
he?
and I was like,
I didn't know.
He saw her.
just from here up.
Oh yeah. I wrote it
that's
down.
Why.
Chick gets weird shit. Chick gets it.
Yeah.
He's like,
That's
all
why
right.
he's like, do what you gotta do, buddy.
Do
Dug
what you
your-
gotta do, but you understand she
Yeah.
is dead,
You
right?
went ahead and dug her up.
I'm gonna check on you in a few
All
days.
right. Oh, it's cool. Listen,
Hey, here's a little enchilada casserole.
yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Do what you
Got
gotta
the
do.
casserole.
I'll be back in a couple of days
She's
to check
gonna
on
start to smell. I just want to let you know. No, Chick gets the weird shit. There's no question.
you. Yeah.
You gotta love that.
You went ahead and dug her up, huh? All right. Hey, man.
There you go.
All
I've
right.
seen some shit.
Yeah.
Wish I could say this is the first time I've seen that, but
Oh, man. Chick gets the weird shit.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
It was the perfect time. I mean, when you've got your dead mother on a couch and you just spirit gummed her eyelids to,
you know how it is.
you know,
Yeah.
ding dong,
Who hasn't been there?
ding dong. And I was like, of course, yes, this is the scene with Chick. This is perfect timing.
Jesus, I hope no one comes in now.
Yeah.
He hasn't, I want to go back a little bit because before that moment where that's the moment where I saw him break down and he had to cry a little bit at the funeral. Before that, like, it's really confusing to me what happened at the funeral home when he's talking to the weird, wacky funeral family, who needs their own show, by the way.
They're so
I mean, six feet
They're
under.
amazing.
Be damned.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, 6 feet under.
Oh,
be
how
damned.
much did you love them?
They need their own show.
My daughter's joined us. Guess I have to make it so and so and family. And the son's
And
like,
the
well,
son's like,
fuck
oh
you,
my God.
Dad.
Yeah.
It was
And
awesome.
Sable, the daughter,
amazing.
and
It was layered.
of course, Sable, the daughter is like gothed out, like,
yeah, she was.
Of course.
oh, Sable.
Pretty sure I went out with a girl just like Sable in college.
I want that web series. I want that spinoff. Anyway, so
I think you did too.
the point,
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
the point that I'm making is he had the three major interactions that we know about. He had the one interaction with the orderly with the horrible bad side manner, the nurse who was terrible, and he was kind of confused. Then he had the one with the detective lady,
Yes,
who
the
was
Stady.
and who he basically Julia convinced that like acted like a real person, was like, oh, of course I'm normal, and it's this Romero guy who's a bad guy. And because she's like, you should look into Norman, and we're looking at Norman, and she's like, nothing to see here. This kid's pretty normal. So he fooled her apparently.
Yes. Well, he was also, it's like the sympathy that she felt when like she realized that this is a kid that's picking out the dress that he's gonna bury his mother.
Yeah, like why am I?
Like what am I looking for?
He did drop that he had been at Pineview for a few weeks. It was sort of like, to me, it kind of came across as like, he doth protest a bit too much, guys.
Exactly.
Like,
Well,
he's
but
really going out of his way to be like, well, Romero had it planned all along. Romero just wanted me out of the picture. You know he's into drugs, right?
Right,
You know
I
that, right?
understand that. I've been at Pineview for a couple of weeks, but I really just needed to sleep.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
And she's like, investigation over.
Right?
I don't think she's
see you
closing
later.
the
No,
investigation.
I don't think so. No.
Plus,
You
they're
show
not
up and
gonna
a
use
dude's...
Molly Price just for those two scenes.
Yeah, for
She's
what?
She'll
too
be back.
awesome of an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she'll
And
be
dude's
back.
walking a 55-inch flat screen down the stairs and kicking it like
Kicking
it
it.
did something
Yeah.
to him. And
Yeah.
yeah, not a
God.
little
It was
bit.
He hated that
broken.
TV. Hated
It was
that
just
TV.
broken. I was just walking,
just walking to the dumpster. And then it started talking to me.
As they often do. So there's that scene, but then the most convincing scene where he really did a good job of like, this is where I'm confused as to where he is when he got to when he got to the funeral home, and he had to have that conversation about, this is what I want and this is what they do, and I know all about that. I tired taxidermy and I want to see her. And like, he's gotta know, like, he's really coming, he's planning her funeral, he's getting her dress, he's seeing her dead. Like, what part of Norman does not get?
But she wasn't dead to him. She opened her eyes.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
So I think that
Yes.
was him trying to like figure out her plan. Like, let me see her. Let me see her. I have to see her.
Vera far freaking miga.
That scared the shit out of me. P.S.
Oh my God. One little bloop and her bloop. I was like, ah, shit.
And just like the little smirk
Oh,
in the
the
side of her
smirk.
mouth, and
Oh.
just go back
my
to complete
God.
dead face.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so well done. It was so subtle.
And for him, message received.
That was his
I got
confirmation.
All right.
That was the confirmation. Okay, the plan. Okay,
So
we're
he's
onto
like,
something
okay,
together.
yeah. So how's he like? Okay, you
Want
play
the world
dead.
to think you're dead. I get you,
I get
Mom.
my-
It's cool.
Mom.
It's cool. I'm on it. I'm on it.
You get
So
him,
nobody
you get
can
embalmed.
ever hurt us again. Nobody can ever hurt us again.
You get embalmed and buried. I'll meet you at the graveyard. I'll dig you up, and then you'll come back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this plan?
That's the plan.
Oh,
Well,
I'll
it
get the
worked for
spirit
Juno.
going.
All right, yeah, it did work for you.
It worked for and Juno gets festive.
He sure
Yeah.
does.
I love the fact that Juno is really like, anytime you see Juno around, you know
Yes.
that we're in Norman's
Yes,
mind.
he's the
Like,
harbinger
So-
of crazy ass shit.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh,
We
okay.
also have to talk about that moment where before he's at the funeral and he's trying to figure out what this plan is, this master plan. That's when he dumps all the meds.
That's-
to get
oh,
back to
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
That's his
Yeah.
way to get back to her.
Oh,
Yeah, he needs to
knows?
figure out exactly and so that's when after he dumps the med, is that when we see Juno for the
That's-
first time?
Uh-huh.
So he
I
knows.
don't, what was the trigger that Juno? I feel like, was there a trigger?
His mother, was she just told me the plan? Opens eyes. Juno, I don't know when that happened.
Because when Judah came down, I'm like, oh shit, Here comes Juno.
Well, I think that Juno is just a coping mechanism because the first time he saw Juno was right after he got back from the hospital, right?
No, it's right. I think it's right after he
got back from the funeral
comes
home?
back from the funeral home after seeing her and her open her eyes.
So I would say it has to do with the meds and the fact that now he's willing to jump into his delusion because he saw his mother and he believes that she. Yeah. So now this is like a happy. I think the meds thing is a huge thing because when he was talking to Dr. Edwards a few episodes back, Dr. Edwards told him that he turns into his mother. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he knows this. So he stopped taking the meds to either be her or to see her.
To get back to her in one way.
Get back to her. I like to get back to her. I like the longer he's looking at that dress too. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really wondering if he was going to try
that was
on.
I wasn't gonna put that. I was. Would it look good on you? Is the question, not me.
So he does the F this ish and goes out and digs her up, and she's looking great, by the way.
Not
a lot
for
of
nothing.
work. A lot of work.
Yeah. Digging up a corpse is a bitch.
Yeah, it is a
that's
lot of
work.
work.
6 feet of dirt.
That's it.
And I'm surprised
Loosely
that they
packed
have
or
her.
tightly packed. It's still a lot of dirt.
A lot of dirt.
I'm surprised that they have her buried so quickly. Because don't they wait? Like, isn't there like a waiting period?
Why would there be a
Don't
waiting
you get
period?
buried right after your funeral?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Funeral
You
buried.
do.
That's how it works.
Yep. Funeral buried
All right.
in the ground.
I mean, the funeral was pretty fast. It was like the next day.
Yeah.
But
right.
still, after your funeral,
But
you get
then
buried.
I thought he was just going to steal the body from the
Well, not only that, though.
funeral
That would have
home.
been easy.
Yeah, it would have
when
been
you steal it
easier.
from the funeral home, though, that body still needs to be accounted for. The only way you can get a hold of the body without anybody asking where the body is if you dig it up. Because at that point, body is we're done. It's in the box is in the ground.
Yeah.
The ground has been put back on top of the box. Done.
And
That's the only way you can have
he
it.
has to fill the thing up too.
Fill it back up.
Yeah.
Well, he is nothing if not thorough.
Yeah, he is very thorough. Gets
He
her home,
is.
and he's dug a couple holes in his day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and so,
That's old hat.
I love the fact that they really did play. I mean, Vera Farmiga did a great job playing dead, but that almost added to, because this was such a sad episode,
right.
it added a bit of comedy to it. Like seeing Vera's body kind
Weekend
of
at
like
Bernie's.
flop around, the way that she fell out of the car when he
Yeah.
opened the car door, the way that she's just kind of like lifeless when he's like driving up. And it's like those small comical moments really kind of broke up the monotony.
I wonder how
of
much
it.
of that we'll get next season. How much of the Weekend
Well,
at Bernie's
one of the
stuff we'll
things
get
they
next
said
season.
that one of the things they said about next season is there's going to be crossover between Psycho and next season.
Okay.
And one of the things they're going to explore is things that they could not have shown in the movie back in the day.
Oh,
Things that in the
Interesting.
60s they couldn't have done.
Oh.
So, but they can now, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's going to be explorations of things that weren't on screen then that will be on screen now.
Interesting.
So, which I think is a fun idea.
I
I hope necrophilia isn't one of them.
like.
Please, God.
When he kissed her, did he kiss her cheek or did he kiss her on the lips?
I think he kissed
Because
her
the
on the
camera
lips.
angle was in such a way that you just couldn't see.
Yeah,
She-
and I think that that's also up for interpretation. But
Yeah.
I took it as on the lips because how much does he want to kiss his mother on the lips?
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's an expert.
Why did you have to say necrophilia?
I don't know. Joe said things to the thing.
I was talking about on-screen, off-screen violence. You're talking about banging dead mamas.
Well, I like the whole idea
When you
of
say it like that.
That's what you said.
That's disgusting.
Like, just jump in the pool and go swimming. No, let's go in the pool and swim. What? No, that's wrong.
Oh well, we got to get okay. So I do want to say so chick all the moment play for comedy, the spirit gun, the eyes, all that stuff was very touching, horrible. Norman goes so off himself, and just in the 11th hour he hears the old
piano.
the
I'll
old
be home
piano,
for Christmas.
and we have a lovely happy ending. So
Beautiful
Chick,
ending. It was so warm.
yeah, and Chick
inviting
was the
and
one though. Chick
festive.
was the one who shook him to the point of who shook him into that trauma enough to give him enough trauma of reality that my mom is actually dead.
it's not something that he can handle.
That he couldn't handle it, and then it all happened. So
It's interesting what the mind does to help you cope,
Absolutely.
and how celestial and beautiful she was. She's like, of course we'll be forever and ever.
we've got to get out of here. But I do want to go through really quickly. Zach Philosophy, we'll do some predictions for next season, really quickly, just very quickly, like 15 seconds each.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Joe, what's gonna happen?
I predict there's going to be a lot of smell dealing with, and a lot of shots where we have, because she's gonna rot. That's
a
how
lot of smell dealing with.
There's a dead woman in the house. Dead people smell. And then I think that there's also going to be a lot of shots, or hopefully a handful of shots, where we see Norman's reality juxtaposed with actual reality. I'm really curious about those. It'll be fun.
Good, Julia.
Yeah.
I think eventually Dylan's going to get hip to the fact that Norma is at least missing, if not dead. Maybe a little like buddy cop with
Emma?
With Emma or Romero, because they're both going to be out for vengeance. We might see Sable again because she was so awesome.
Yeah.
What a great
And
character.
I'm just interested. I know, right? She was
Like
too cool.
she would like hang out outside somebody's window. I
And
think
I'm
that's
just
the kind of character
and
she
he
is.
likes those girls too. Remember Cody?
Yeah.
I'm just interested to see what this new Norma is going to be in season 5. If it's only a Norma through Norman's eyes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, what else would she
it'll
be?
be.
Dua?
I
Mira's
think
Norma.
I think that Romero is going to be killed by Norman in the book. Norman kills his mother and the lover. So I think that Romero will eventually die in season 5. That's the only way that he'll be able to continue, because the only person that really knows him is Romero. So Romero is going to die in season 5. We're going to get scenes of Norma's crazy jealousy every time a woman comes into the motel. And yeah, I think Chick's going to have a little bit of a bigger role and maybe assisting Norman with some things. I think he feels for him.
Interesting. I think we're going to see all these characters. I think we're going to see Caleb will be back, Dylan will be back, Norma will be back. I really think that we're going to get into go into Psycho and then beyond Psycho and hopefully get some resolution. And hopefully with not Romero dying, with not Dylan and Emma dying. I don't want to see a thing where everyone dies and Norman is in the window, like with the saying vacancy.
Well, he has to get rid of everyone.
But I want
at
that
some
to
point
happen.
in order to live this
But I
new
want that to
existence.
happen maybe through episode 5 and maybe episode 5 through 506 through 510. Will be something
I
different.
definitely think that we're
like
going to
that.
see a basement scene with Norman's back, the way that he works on taxidermy, and it will be his mother because he needs to embalm his mother.
We have to get out of here. I want to say before we go, you guys have been
sad.
so wonderful. Thank you for all 100 of you guys watching right now in real time. We love you all. Okay, John, Echo, Chloe, Shalom Joe, Feckless, Maria, Bobby, all you folks, Barry K, Maria, I said you already.
We'll see you next
We
year.
love you. We'll see you next year. Text us, tweet at us, email us, check us out. We'll still be around. And Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Twitter is @JoeFlippo, JoeFlippo.
My turn. Twitter, Instagram. My name, Julia Cearley, JuliaCearley. And thank you guys for bringing me on this season. I'm so happy.
it's
Loved
Yes,
it. Loved
you're
it.
a rock
Loved
star.
it.
Do it, Casey.
Hi, I'm Du'a. You can find me at Du'a Kaissi, DuAKaissi on the Twitters.
And you can find me at Joe K. Braswell on Twitter and Instagram, and at Joe K. Braz on Snapchat. I'm going to snap some stuff right now, some behind the scenes stuff. You guys really heartfelt, thank you very much. We missed the show. We'll see you back for season 5. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.